Okay, so today we're working on creating a range of value, and for some of you this will be review, and for some of you it'll be a new concept. But first you're going to take your charcoal and you're going to make a 7-box value scale. So you have one in the middle. So your first box over here on the right, this is with your compressed charcoal, say, because you can get it really dark. It's going to be as dark as you can get it over here. And then you're going to slightly get lighter as you get to the left. And then your last box is going to be totally white. So you can see this here, like I put my value in the middle. This is a little bit on the dark side, so I'm actually going to use my eraser to kind of lighten it up a little bit. And this is sort of harder than it looks too, so take a minute to sort of sit and work on this a little bit. I'm using a really intensive, like, compressed charcoal here, so it's pretty dark to start with. Yours might be a little bit on the softer side, but see how this is just one click lighter than this dark space. So, and then my next box is going to be slightly lighter than that, but not as, maybe not as light as this one. You can also use the side of your charcoal if you want to. It's kind of up to you how you want to do this. It usually will take you a little bit of time to get this really figured out so it looks really nice. Ideally, your boxes are sort of all the same space wide, but mine aren't. So I'm going to darken that up. Okay, yeah, that looks pretty good. This one's still slightly darker. Okay, so I have my dark kind of a little bit lighter, and then I've got my medium here. And then from there I'm going to make it just slightly lighter here. I'm probably going to use my fingers to make that like that, just slightly lighter than this one, and I actually need to use my eraser to pull it up just a little bit more. Oh yeah, okay. And then my last value box is going to be fairly light here. And then I'm going to leave the last one white. So actually this is a pretty dark value scale, so I'm going to make this just a little bit lighter, I think. So it feels just a little bit closer to white. And then we're starting to look pretty good, actually. Yeah, so now you clearly have differentiated values. So 1 to 7, really obvious. So you have what's called a light value, a dark value, then you have a medium value, and your drawings will become more interesting the more that you have a, you know, kind of maybe a range of the middle grays too. So you can kind of clean that up if you want to, right? You can actually do a value scale also with graphite, for example. So I have a graphite pencil here too, and you may want to use your graphite stick also. So you make another one here, maybe about the same size. I'm going to use a pencil just because it gives me some variety. But anything that's done with graphite is a good idea. You don't want to use a H pencil for this. You want to use a B pencil for this particular activity, or a B graphite. Okay, so you can kind of see that's there. And I usually start with the darkest one. If you have a B pencil, and especially a really dark pencil like this one, this is a 6B that I'm using, and the larger the number is on the graphite, the bigger range of value I'm going to be able to get. So I'm a real big fan of the B pencils, just generally, and you can kind of fill this in. You want to make sure that you press pretty hard into your paper. And graphite's not quite as smeary unless you have what's called a stump, which is kind of like a blending tool. And so you kind of have to rely on your mark to make it dark enough. So that's looking pretty dark there. And then I'll go slightly lighter maybe on my next one. Some people are really fast at value scales, and I take a little bit longer. So if you know you're kind of fast, you might want to make a bigger size one or something like that. And if I go too fast or whatever and you want to pause our video, you always can. So that's looking pretty good there. So nice shadow. See how you can see how this is slightly lighter than that one. And this one will be a little bit lighter. I'm trying to compare it to the one that's above too, to this one, because I know I already did a pretty good job with that range of value, and so if I compare the two spaces, it looks pretty good. When you're working with a pencil or a graphite, you can definitely see the marks that you make in your space, and so it's up to you to decide, like, you know, how smooth you want that to look too. It doesn't bother me that much, so I'm kind of but you don't want it to look like you're cross hatching either, so, and that you want it to be kind of a nice even shade sort of all the way across your value scale here. Okay, look at this one. This is a little bit lighter. So when you get to your lighter ones, you probably want to pull up on your hand a little bit so it's not quite as heavy-handed. That's looking pretty good. And then your last one's going to be really light. Now you could switch your pencil too if you wanted to a, you know, an H pencil or something over here, but I'm just going to roll with my one pencil that I have. Now your number 2 pencils aren't going to quite cut this. Like, you can get a wider range of value if you have a set of artist pencils. And so I always sort of like that. I actually think I need to lighten these up just a little bit more to get them to look a little bit closer to white. So you can always use your eraser to make things a little bit lighter. If your eraser gets really dark and black like this and you notice it's smearing on your page, you can kind of wipe it so that it goes back to white, and that really helps a lot also. That's looking a little bit better. You might also have a stick eraser too, which is helpful in this case. So the graphite's got a little bit of a sheen to it. It's got kind of a shiny surface to it also. So let's see. I think that's probably where we're gonna stop right there for our value scales. We'll come back to some value scales a little bit later.